Welcome everybody to the MiniMapCast. This is oh no, Jeremy, I didn't have the intro going. Wait, roll it back.
Do you want a hard restart?
No, that's fine. We could do this. It'll
right.
just be just a second. It's just I got the script ready. I forgot. We had everything ready except the script.
Hope you like the song.
Like we meant to do it. It's fine. It's gonna be fine.
And you would start talking now.
Welcome everybody to the MiniMapCast. This is this doesn't. Oh, what the? Okay, hang on. Jerry, give me one more time.
Let's go.
Roll it back.
I'm gonna fade it in, and then I'm gonna tell you when. All right, you ready?
Okay.
And now.
Welcome everybody to the MiniMapCast, minimap.com.au's weekly games podcast, your favorite weekly games podcast. My name is Kerry Palmer, and joining me as always is Jeremy Braditich. What's wrong, Jeremy?
We are consummate professionals.
Oh, definitely. We're practiced, we are punctual, we are just like so impressively proficient at what we do. Many people leave the stream so in awe that they never come back.
Oh, that one caught me all the way off guard.
That one happened at runtime, would you believe?
Yeah, I had to buffer that one.
Jeremy, how are you this week?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We no longer do we have blonde Braditich. Here we are with frosted tips Braditich.
Only on the top.
Only on the top, yes. You're telling us the story during the week of how your hairdresser did not quite do what you asked.
No. So I had decently long blonde hair for a male, and it was too long. So I was like, I'm gonna get a haircut. And so then I went to the place that I've been to before, which last time gave me what I thought was quite a good haircut. And so I went back, and I was like, they were like, oh, like, what do you want done? And I was like, oh, okay, it's a little bit weird, but can you just give me a haircut that you leave about a centimeter of blonde everywhere? And he's like, okay, and he's looking at it, and he's like, this much? And I'm like, oh, even a little bit less. And he's like, okay, cool. And he's like, do you want a little bit blonde just on the top, or do you want a little bit blonde everywhere? And I'm like, a little bit blonde everywhere, please. He's like, no worries, got it. And then did a little bit blonde on the top and nowhere else.
Yeah, it's gone from the sides.
Yeah, he gave me a much shorter, closer haircut on the back and sides. But look, it's fine. A couple of days later, it's now just totally fine as a haircut. Yeah,
I think it looks good. Like,
yeah, it's fine.
You know, as you said, it was like, oh, last time I went there, I thought I got quite a good haircut. And I'd say you still got a good haircut. It just wasn't the one that you asked for or that the person clarified for.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, I think I've mentioned before, the hardest thing for me about getting a haircut is I have to take my glasses off, so I don't know what's going on until it's done. And also, look, once you've started a haircut, it's kind of hard to not continue that haircut. There's no, as the Marx Brothers would say, I think it was a snoop too much. So it's just one of those things. So a classic
Marx Brothers accent.
Classic 1940 something movie reference there for you. That one, I think, if memory serves, I think that was from the movie Coconuts.
That had the Marx Brothers in it, did it?
Yeah, that is a Marx Brothers movie, Coconuts.
Okay. A snoop too much. Well,
it's very funny. The movie is set on a cruise liner in which they are stowaways on the four Marx Brothers: Groucho, Harpo, Chico, and Gummo. No, Zeppo. Gummo is the one that's not in the movies.
Is this a prequel to Pac-Man? What is this?
No. But Harpo, the Marx brother, is mute. One of the Marx brothers. And the very beginning of the film, there's like a bunch of people find out that there's 4 stowaways on board, and there's 4 barrels in this hold, which they're all hiding in, which is very funny. And one of the captains says to the other one, like, "Oh my god, Captain, I need to tell you there's some important news. There's 4 stowaways on the ship." And he goes, "4 stowaways? That's awful. How do you know there's 4 of them?" And he goes, "They're singing Sweet Adeline." Which is funny because they are, and also it's doubly funny because Harpo is mute, and so there is no reason for them to know that there's 4.
It's so strange.
It's so funny. It's very, very funny.
That's quite wacky for how old that is. I was not expecting that to be so just off the wall.
It's all vaudeville humor, but then not silent, so it's all good.
Loud
even.
Loud vaudeville.
Anyway, that's my Marx Brothers minute.
Thank you so much for that, Jeremy. Let's.
Bring it back
I saw
now,
how
Kerry.
deep you were going into that one, and I'm like, how am I going to bring this back around? And honestly, we're here now where it's over, and I still don't know how we're going to bring this back around, but I'm going to give it a red hot go, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to the MiniMapCast, where we're talking about video games and stuff. And the Marx brothers. Yeah. And their fictional other brothers.
You
can catch us.
There are no fictional brothers. They are all real brothers.
Oh, they're all real brothers.
Yep. They are all real brothers.
Okay. I beg apologies to the Marx estate.
They're all dead.
That's why I was begging the apologies from their estate.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you think they have an estate?
They definitely have an estate.
Surely.
Yes.
Like Tolkien and
Embracer, apparently.
And Embracer Group. Okay, we're going to talk about video games. You can catch us every week on any podcast platform of your choice, or you can watch us on YouTube or on Twitch as we record the show live. If you like what you're hearing, please give the show a positive rating wherever you're listening to us. And if you want to join us as we record the show, we are live every Monday, 5:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/MinimapAU or from the YouTube channel. Although we've just decided that we're not doing that at the moment, aren't we, Jeremy? We're just going to focus on streaming for Twitch right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube's weird.
So don't look for the YouTube channel for the live stream, but go to twitch.tv/MinimapAU, 5:30 p.m. Monday afternoon, evenings? Evenings.
Yeah, evening.
5:30 p.m. I don't know. That's a weird time. After an evening? I don't know. Before, during, and after the show, we do hang out with Twitch chat, and it's always a good time. We'd love it if you came and joined us there. We do, as I just said there, before, during, and after, we hang out. We do little mid-show. Last week was a show and tell when we were digging up all our DS games, and other times we're talking about different topics for what's coming up the next week or discussing the topic that's coming up. It's a good time. Be sure to keep up to date with us when we post a new episode or anything else for minimap.com.au. You can do that by following our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch accounts, all under the name MiniMapAU. That's for all of those accounts. It's a great way to know when the episodes go live and what we spoke about in each episode. For example, last week, episode 118, we ranked our favorite DS games, which was a bit strange for me because I realized I really liked and enjoyed that console, but maybe only played like 6 games total, which I hadn't properly figured out in my head before. And next week, we're doing the much fabled deep dive into the metaverse of madness, as the topic has been titled for a number of weeks now. Jeremy, what's that looking like for next week?
Oh, hell. It's... yeah, so I had planned on doing it this week. But then it got to, I think, Friday afternoon or something, and I got an email from one of the ones that I've been very curious about, but hadn't been able to get in because it's been closed. One of what I'm going to assume is one of the worst ones, called Sandbox Metaverse or Sandbox, something like that. It's a very NFT crypto heavy one. They're all in on that bullshit. And
is that the one you showed me where it's like you could buy land?
No,
say that.
Yeah, that was the one with Paris and Snoop Dogg. Yeah, although she's in a lot of them. She's getting around the metaverse a fair bit.
Well, okay, great.
Yeah, right. So that one is opening in 2 days actually for a little bit. So I'll be able to spend a little bit of time in there. And also over the weekend, I managed to genuinely get into Facebook Horizon in a way that is Facebook Horizon Worlds specifically, which is good because that was one of the, like, it's the Facebook one, right? It's the one that is so, they changed their company name to Meta.
Yep.
I'm able to be in there now, finally, which is good considering it's not launched in Australia. As far as I'm aware, I'm like the only Australian in there. It's very funny.
Don't think there are any Australians in territories that have access?
If there are, I haven't met any.
Fair enough. Well, it's something to look forward to for next week. This week, we're going to be talking about what the industry would look like if Sega was still making consoles today in 2022. There's a number of hypothetical questions in there, like what the console's going to be called, what it would look like, what the industry would look like, how the different companies would relate to each other. So that's going to be coming up in the second half of the show. We also wanted to say thank you to Shook for letting us use the Moog Model D Improv as the music for the MiniMapCast. You can listen to more of Shook's music at shook.bandcamp.com. Lastly, if you want to help us keep the lights and mics on, you can throw $5 our way and become one of our patrons. It helps us continue to do this. You can ask us questions to answer on the podcast, and it's as cheap as a latte with oat milk. You can do that by going to patreon.com/minimapau. Now, we're going to do something we haven't done before, and we're going to start the show with an embargoed segment, which is something that we cannot post on the live feed. So we're streaming this live. With people who are watching us live, we're gonna jump ahead. But for people who are watching this after the fact, when the embargo is lifted, when this episode comes out later this week, you're going to listen to future Jeremy and Kerry speak about this game that we can't talk about in the past. So, we couldn't talk about this on the live show, but we're recording this after the fact. We're going to talk about Saints Row coming out this Tuesday, 23rd or 22nd? I couldn't quite figure it out. I think it's coming out on Tuesday, which for us is tomorrow. But the embargo's not up yet. We're going to talk about Saints Row because I've been playing it a bunch. I've been lucky enough to get to play it for work, make some content for it before it comes out. My history with the series is I never played 1 or 2. I've played 4 sparingly, but I played 3 when it was current. I played it with a very good friend of mine. We played it co-op the whole way through. We played it a lot. We really enjoyed it. And then when I got to the end of 3 with how much we played it, I kind of got to that point and I was like, and that's enough. That's my history with the franchise. The point where it's like, I've played Saints Row 3. Saints Row 4 was different in strange ways.
Bad.
I don't feel like they... But also, if they just iterated straight on what Saints Row 3 was, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it. Like, I feel like what they gave me, I experienced all of what I wanted from what they gave me from Saints Row 3. And I was like,
sure.
That's enough.
Yeah. Yes. As someone who has played 2 and 3 and a little bit of 4, 2 and 3 is where it was at, and anything else I think is a bad game.
But also, you don't want to go back to them, really. Like, it's just kind of like, you play them and you've played them.
I don't feel much of a desire to go back to Saints Row 2 or 3, really.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of desire when that remaster came out, but
Just nostalgia talking.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Saints Row, the reboot, this is coming out of the ashes of THQ. It's coming from Embracer Group, from Volition, Deep Silver. I think Deep Silver. At least Team Volition. It's a really interesting game when you look at the history of the franchise. And when you look at the fact that the people who owned THQ went bankrupt and then someone resurrected them and bought everything they used to own and then started republishing all those games. This game was made with a degree of care and a degree of, creative intent. It feels like it could have, if Saints Row 4 never came out, this feels like it could have been like the next Saints Row 3 in a strange way, because Saints Row 3 got pretty wacky and intense and bombastic, and then with 4 they went like superpowers, everything's a simulation, it's the same world. This isn't that. It's much more like I'm playing another Saints Row 3 in a lot of strangely reminiscent ways. Like, it's brand new characters, brand new setting, which helps, which is good. It runs at 4K, which is good. Some of the graphics is a bit glitchy. I'm not sure how much of that is pre-release and how much of that is going to be the way it is. But, the way they show you your unlocks at the end of a mission turns out is almost exactly the same to how they used to show you back when you unlocked stuff in 3. You'd complete a mission and it'd be like, mission accomplished with the mission name. And then it'd be this splash screen of like, you've unlocked fast travel. You've unlocked Saints now have cars. You've unlocked new customization options for this. And big splashes. And it was like, shoo, shoo, shoo. And like, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, this is the same.
Saints Row. Yeah.
This is Saints Row. And so on the one hand, it's like, okay, they're being faithful to their origins and they're going back to when the franchise was its best and most successful. That makes sense. And on the other hand, it's like, why did we come back to this if we're just getting another one?
Yeah, right.
And I can't really answer that question. One thing obviously a few things. I'm not just going to say one thing. I was going to start that sentence with one thing I'll say. No, I'm going to say a few things. This thing I'll say is it doesn't make a great first impression. Like, some of the story missions are fine. They've got some interesting set pieces, but they're a bit loosey-goosey. I don't think the aiming mechanics are particularly strong on console, at least. I'm relying a lot on the auto-aim when you aim down sights to sort of snap to my target, because trying to aim myself is really sluggish. I don't like it. And so that helps the start drag a bit. And then there's this whole, like, you and your housemates are just trying to make rent, and you're all like living like, this housemate works for this gang of like car heads, and this other person works for this gang of like anti-capitalist anarchists, like neon guys, and you work for this PMC, this private military corporation, and the first mission is your first day on the job working with this PMC. And so that's kind of like, I don't love this.
Yeah, right.
You leave them be at some point, they fire you, and you form the Saints, right? But they spend a long time like trying to let you get to know these crews through these different angles, through your housemates and through who you know and how you're working it. Like 3 or 4 hours before you all decide to say fuck that and form the Saints. I'm not all the way through the story. I think I'm only about halfway. So they haven't seen characters that they introduced at the start come back yet. But it's a lot of setup that bars you from some of the most interesting side content, because that all comes when you become the Saints.
Yeah, right.
And it's a lot of, the voice acting is fine. I think the animation is one of this game's weakest points. Like, facial animation isn't spectacular. It's fine. Takedown animations and stuff like that, it's fine.
Was Saints Row the game where you, at the beginning when you make your character, you could choose your voice, and in like Saints Row 3, one of the voice options was just Nolan North? Was that Saints Row?
Yeah, it was. Oh, maybe 4.
Maybe it was 4. That's a funny joke.
And Troy Baker was just like male 1 voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a funny joke. It's nothing like that here. The only person's voice who I recognize from the voice cast list is Greg Chun, who plays Kevin, one of your housemates, who is the English voice actor for Yagami from the Judgment games. He's a great voice actor. And there's a rapport and there's some jokes that are fine, but there's a bit when your character gets fired, the monologue, the writing for that is your character just swearing to themselves while you drive the car for like 2 minutes.
Right.
And it's just a lot of swearing. And I was using the British voice actor at that point. And they just go on all
bollocks.
They're only saying like British swear words. They're like, arse and well, how saying it properly, but like bollocks and shite and it's so forced. I'm like, this isn't it. So the opening isn't great. When you become the Saints and you could start like storing cars that you get and upgrading them, and you unlock a helipad so you can find helicopters and store those as well, and you start buying into businesses around the map, and they start much more rapidly increasing your like passive cash flow, so you can start buying more nice things and better vehicles, and there is a good flow to the systems here.
Okay.
It did get better. I had this concerning thought of like, I don't like the shooting, the driving's fine. I kind of feel like the base mechanics are all that there are at the start of the game. And to be fair, it kind of is that way. But they gave me more exciting things to do with those base mechanics that I enjoyed doing more than the things they give you in the first 3 hours to do.
Right.
Once I got past those first 3 hours, it went from like this is maybe like a 5 or 6 to me. This went to it's good. It's a 7. It's good. It's fine. There's something to enjoy here. It's a good open world, and if you enjoy the shooting well enough, then it's a good open world where you can do plenty of driving missions, hijacking stuff, stealing cars, delivering, deliveries of toxic waste to a company, and shootouts to raise your income and protect the areas that you're in. It's interesting. It works well if you don't grate on the mechanics and how they've made them. Mm-hmm. Some of the more interesting vehicles are really fun, like the attack helicopter is so overpowered. Monster trucks just flatten or push everything. Like I ran headfirst into a garbage truck and nearly pushed it off a bridge because this monster truck is just so strong. There is a lot here. Yeah, no, it is. It is good fun. And there have been moments where I'm playing and I'm like in a car chase, and like the police, they hit a civilian car, and that punches through into this other police car that I've been shooting. That police car explodes, sending this other thing flying past me, and everyone gets knocked out of the way. And I literally sitting here by myself playing. I'm like, whoa, saying out loud, like I'm like, whoa, something crazy happened. Like that does happen, and that's fun, It's been a while since I've had an open world kind of moment like that. It's like those rare times where you, for whatever reason in GTA, you just see a flaming car on the street somewhere where you haven't been, and it's like, right, what was the AI doing here for the last 30 seconds?
Yeah, yep.
Except it's kind of it more frequently happens around you.
Right.
So that's fun. Yeah, at the end of the day, I can't figure out where they go from here. I kind of hope the game does well, but only in like I think people really did try to make this something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could see the effort that went into this, to make it faithful to what it was, to make it fresh, to keep it interesting, but also the same, but also different. Like that's such a hard tease to work within. Ultimately, it leaves the game feeling very AA. It leaves the game feeling like this would have been maybe a great game in 2016 when we didn't have Breath of the Wild and Horizon yet.
Yeah, look,
but we do.
I've not been paying that much attention to the preview coverage, mostly because when the game was announced, I was like, all right.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, sure, fuck it. It's been probably, I guess, long enough. Like it almost felt like someone's alarm had gone off. Yeah. That was the like, now is enough time to make another. Because like, look, 4 wasn't good. Gat Out of Hell was bad, and Agents of Mayhem ended that franchise.
That wasn't Saints Row.
No, but it was. It's a Saints Row game.
It's not. Yes,
it is. It's in the Saints Row universe.
All right, keep talking.
It did almost feel like someone's timer was going. I was saying like, okay, like it's now enough time for us to make another one. And like that's fine because I can understand why you would want to do that. It's a known property. It's a well enough proven property, but Saints Row came out at the time that GTA 4 and 5 were the games,
Yeah.
not just 5. I think 3 came out prior to 5.
3 definitely came out. Yeah, no, it did. It did. 3 was
Yeah.
like 2011, 2012.
Yeah. Which is like... That was so long ago.
It was. Like, GTA 5 is showing its age, but it's still...
Still one
like
of the most
best...
played games online, right?
It is. It's also the best that GTA has ever been.
Yes, exactly, right?
Even if you enjoy the other ones more, 5 is clearly superior.
And so what is Saints Row now? Because it used to be the satire, funny knockoff of GTA that ended up being quite good.
The satire of the satire.
Yeah. Where does that fit now? Is there nuance in this game? Is it pulling a little like funny little dance around something, or is it just a silly game?
There's some themes at the start, and I really didn't like how they used them. It did not engender me to the characters at all. But there's this stuff about how you and your housemates are trying to make rent, right? And so everyone's congratulating you for your first day of work. And it's like, oh man, so excited for my first day of work. I can start paying rent again in this shithole of a place where you live. And it's like, great. This is some commentary on the gig economy, but also you just work for Marshall, this group of, and you got hired for them because you're good at killing, as if that's like a virtue. And I'm supposed to relate to you as a millennial because you have to pay rent. Like you're a murderer bastard who I don't like very much.
This sounds like very recent Twitter discourse. There was a known, I think they were a writer, who ended up, they were like a leftist on Twitter, online, all this stuff, right? Very progressive. And then it came out that for the past 8 years, they've been working at Lockheed Martin, which
I don't know what that is.
They literally make bombs.
Oh my God.
They like literally do like war crimes.
Right. And so maybe that was their offset. That was their carbon offset for their soul.
And it was this whole thing about like, oh, like some people were saying like, oh, they're still like a leftist, they're still progressive and all stuff. And they were going on about how like, oh, like I got this job because I know someone that works and helps me pay the bills, but socially I'm still very progressive. And anybody that has got any spine or any backbone is like, you can't work here and say that you are fundamentally a good person because this is fundamentally a legitimately evil company.
Yeah.
So in a way, this kind of sounds like that, which is real.
Yeah.
And part of that is part of that is no fault of the game, but it's the fault of real life for being satire averse.
Yeah, no, totally being so apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
there's this.
Does this game know what it is?
It's all of those things I was saying before, right? It's all of those things it's trying to pull between. It's trying to be new, but it's trying to be old. So it just kind of ends up being the same.
Yeah, right.
In a really strange way. Yeah.
Is it worth playing?
Not for $100. Not for full price. Half price? Maybe even a little more than half price? Yeah. Okay. Let me put it this way. I'm enjoying this game much more than I enjoyed something like Biomutant last year, right? And I played hours and hours of that game.
Yeah, I bet.
For work.
I got that game for $3.
Yeah, and you haven't played it, and I don't recommend that you do.
Yeah.
But this game is more enjoyable than that. The mechanics, like you unlock some really silly like powers when you level up. Like a flame punch, like you're a worm from, like Worms Apocalypse, like, or like, one of the ways an early way for you to throw grenades is like you grapple onto someone, stuff a grenade in their pants, and then you throw them at their friends. And that's one of the easiest way to like clear enemies out at the start. And that's fun. And there's like a vampire thing, and the way you manage your health is interesting. But like, there's kind of a problem. Some of the talk I've heard about late game issues is that like it's really hard to earn like the big bucks in this game until you get to the end of the game. And usually by the time you get to the end of the game, you've only done that by putting in the work and having had to grind to buy all of the things that get you to the end game. So by the time you get to the end game and you're earning so much money, you've already bought all the stuff that you had to work really hard for to get there in the first place. So what are you working towards?
And look, I feel that way about almost every open world game with progression like that.
Yeah.
But like, okay.
I feel like they could have remedied that. They could have had all of the prices be super high, and to do anything, you have to make a stupid amount of money fast.
Right.
And so you start making stupider and stupider and stupider amounts of money. You know what I mean? Like you're spending $10 million at once all the time, but it's not like that. It's a bit more of a slog.
What I'm understanding is a lot of the things that you're liking is the sillier aspects of it that are a bit less, like a bit less its direct story, right? Like it's not so much its face value stuff, but it's like it's side content, it's extra things to do which are fun to, like the sandbox, right?
Definitely, it is. I'm not that keen to jump back into the story when I do, because it's like, oh, how do we become better criminals? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? How am I? What?
Should it be sillier, or is it the right amount of silly? Because it's a hard balance.
It is a hard balance, and that's where this series sort of lost its step, but also found a new audience at the same time, to the point where it didn't know what it was anymore.
Yes.
Because 2 was silly, but it was still like San Andreas on like steroids.
Yeah.
And then 3 went so far, with the dildo bats and all of the scenes where your clothes get stolen and you're naked, and like, and the super futuristic, like, VTOL jets and like hover bikes and stuff like that. This is less silly than that. I haven't found any sex toy weapons. Like the silliest weapon I've got is like a big bone melee weapon, and like that's kind of funny.
Yeah,
there's also
good.
like some like LARPing stuff, and that stuff's really cool. That sort of LARPing side quest and side mission stuff. Everyone talks in silly voices, and they're all wearing cardboard armor and shooting each other with like Nerf guns. It plays almost identically, but it's a fun twist. And you have like different finisher animations where you like pretend to rip someone's heart out, or like you pretend to punch them a bunch of times and they fall over and they're like, oh
yeah, it's that it's that scene in Hawkeye.
yeah, exactly. And that's great. That's fun. That's fine. It's been done a few times in the last few years, but I don't think we're over it yet. And they do it well here.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of the silliest it gets, at least so far.
Okay. But do you want it to get sillier though? Because do you want...
I don't know, Jeremy. I don't know. I don't know that I do, honestly.
Yeah, like do you want sex toy weapons and dubstep guns, or like, do you want scathing commentary? Do you want scathing commentary on the TikTok app, right?
Oh yeah. Well, the start of the game is like Future Saints, is like the very start is the cinematic where it's like, oh, we're at Saints HQ, we're having a party, and it's in vertical smartphone format. I don't think I do want it to be sillier.
Yeah.
Because I found all of that stuff in 3 really naff and awkward and weird when I was 16. Like, who else was gonna like that if not someone who was 16?
It's the It reminds me of the reveal trailer of Sunset Overdrive.
Right.
That was just that. That was just like obnoxious. Like it's that Forspoken trailer. Like so let me get this straight.
So you're telling me
Yeah.
that I'm fighting dragons.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And this happened. They fly now.
So like, on the one hand, it's, if you want a decent enough third-person shooter open world tick box thing, great. Then this is going to be a good time for you. I'm finding it hard to recommend based on its story. I'm finding it hard to recommend based on its combat and combat alone. The driving's kind of fun. And they have this not unique, they have this fun thing where each weapon and each vehicle has a side objective for you to complete that will unlock a unique perk for each weapon or vehicle. The vehicle ones are a bit less unique. It's sort of like there's 5 or 6 of them spread across the different vehicles. But it's like if you sideswipe 8 vehicles, then you can go to the garage and unlock the jump ability for this car, for all cars of this type. Or if you kill 30 of this faction with this grenade launcher, then the explosions will be more bombastic, they'll be more fireworksy, they'll be louder. Or, the shotguns will have fire bullets, or the rifle will all of a sudden become more good for shooting vehicles. And so that's stuff that you can work towards literally every encounter, literally every time you're doing something. And then you can swap out your weapons. And every location, every business has different side missions that open up when you invest in it, which then increases your income, which means you can buy more investments, which means you get more missions. That flow is there. And it's decent enough, honestly. It's okay. It's good. The story, the start of the game, the plot, I guess it's the same as the story, but the characters as well, it's all a bit strange. It's all a bit weird. It's not what I'm enjoying most about it. In fact, it almost put me off entirely.
Yeah, right.
If anyone does get this game, please play to the point where you become the Saints at least before you do more than 30 minutes of side content. Because the side content you get in that first 3 to 4 hours looks like it's a lot and looks like you can do it all from the start and it'll be worth your time. But I promise you, you're going to have a much better time if you enjoy ticking boxes once you become the Saints and actually start working towards something.
Right. Okay.
I'll be very interested to see what reviews say. I'll be interested to see what the highest reviews say. I think there's going to be I think we're going to see a few 6s and 5s. I think we're going to see the most number of 7s.
I think when Player 2, the website, has got a Open Critic fantasy football predictions thing that I'm in.
Oh, right. Cool.
And I think for Saints Row, I think I had at a solid 70.
Yeah.
I think that and that was I put that in 2 months ago.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. The only thing, the most profound thing I've felt playing this game is more of a personal thing of wow, I was playing Saints Row 3 10 years ago, and now look at me playing Saints Row in basically the same game, but for work, and how far I've come and what I've done since then, and how more things changed and what there's
Yeah. Yep.
That was the most profound thing that happened to me, and that's just a me thing. That's not a Saints Row thing.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Great. Cool.
That's about the best. That's it. That's Saints Row. That's what I got to say about it. Were you going to get it, or are you waiting for reviews?
Look, I was going to get it if it was coming out of 10s, but I don't I've got enough to play. I don't need to play Saints Row.
Yeah. For anyone who is a fan of 3, maybe even 2, and you miss it, go for it. But yeah, it's hard to know who's going to like this game and who's not. Well, it's not so hard to know who's not going to like this game. It's hard to know who's going to like it, though.
Yeah, right. Kerry, what else have you been playing?
So, good work, Jeremy. Cutting in that thing that we cut out.
Yeah.
What else I've been playing? So I've been a little stressed this week. Not super stressed, but I've been busy. I got some deadlines. I've got some very early starts coming up this coming week, and I got to, I think it was Friday night or Thursday night, and I was just sitting down, and Sam was super tired, and I was super tired. We were just both clocked out, and I just sat down and I just played Ocarina of Time. And I've been watching a lot of speedruns of Ocarina of Time recently. And this is no strange story that I like this game. It's been said a billion times before. we don't need to go over all of that, but it's been more of an interesting experience for me, just how comforting playing this game has been for me. It's been quite... It hasn't been nostalgic. It's not about nostalgia, although it is a little bit about that. But it's been soul food. It's been something I can sink into and play casually, because I'm so familiar with so many of like the hidden spots and secrets, and where you get the pieces of heart in that game, or you can play the secret song in front of the scarecrow, and that means you can get an extra hook shot target in hard to reach places. Like all those little secrets that no one would have found out for months on their own 20 years ago. But I know where a lot of those places are, but I don't know how to do any of the like fancy shit. So I just kind of like know how to do a 95% playthrough of Ocarina of Time without too much fuss. And so that's quite fun, just going through and being like, oh, there's a sculpture above the door here. And like, if I zip to that chest, that'll take me to a secret area that then gets me this thing. And then I can clear the whole dungeon and be done. And I get the little symbol being like, oh, you found everything in the map in this dungeon. And it's like, oh, that's cool. I haven't done that before. And just going through and knowing how to do all the things, I was comforted in a way I wasn't expecting. And it was something I needed greatly this week, and I'm very much looking forward to it. It's had me thinking. I'm looking forward to finishing it and playing more throughout the weeks and stuff like that. It had me thinking a couple of other things though. One, I was thinking about all of the things this game does, which are things that I've known in my brain as fact since before I was 5 years old, right? Things like how to get into the volcanic crater of Death Mountain in that game is actually a bit of a secret. It's a bit hard to get to. You can either go this upper path where you get bombarded by falling rocks the whole time. It's actually quite hard to get there if you're not sure how to. Or there's like a hidden passage behind the Goron Chief, and that gets you into Death Mountain Crater. And that's the kind of thing that I've known. I just have known that for as long as I can remember, basically. And I was thinking about how fun this game would have been to explore, because there are so many things that aren't spelled out to you, and you just would have had to have gone and been in this world and gotten to know each area and each zone and spoken to everyone and paid attention in a way that you don't have to do in future Zelda games to the same extent, because I think they made it a bit less obtuse. I think Ocarina of Time's a little too obtuse at times.
Oh, it's being an early 3D game, a lot of them were, right?
Yes, true. But they're also like coming off of...
It's like doing puzzles in Resident Evil and Silent Hill, right? It's like, well, what the fuck is this?
Totally. I don't think that's necessarily a feature of it being early 3D. I don't think it's because it's 3D, it's obtuse. I think it's like that's just where game design was at that time. Like when you look to Link to the Past, like the previous Zelda game of note, before Ocarina of Time, the mainline Zelda franchise at least, like there are so many parts of that game that aren't spelled out to you in a very similar way. And that's how games were back then. You know, secrets in Mega Man about how you have to use the right suit to like counter attack the other suit that is attacking you. Like all that kind of shit was just filled with secrets and, you know, little tidbits. And so I think it's a design that went because I think it honestly was a bit abrasive and kind of kept people away from the industry as a whole. And so I don't mind that it's not there anymore, but I am sad that now I'm at the age that I'm at and I can't experience a Zelda game like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I can see Breath of the Wild is designed so radically differently.
You can like Skyward read the language.
Exactly. So I can read the design language. Skyward Sword was quite simple in a lot of ways. Like there weren't that many head-scratching moments throughout the entire game, and that one's a long game. And that's like the last traditional mainline Zelda. Breath of the Wild was great and had good puzzles. It didn't have that many like world secrets, I feel like. And maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe that's just stuff that I've locked away up there as things that I know already now, 5.5 years later. But what are you pointing to? What do you think?
Guess what? I'm gonna throw the book out, Kerry. we're going to combine our what we've been playing,
Okay.
because what I want to talk about is almost the exact same thing.
Well, as the Sega thing. Oh, you and me with what? So we're combining what we've been playing. It's not what we've each been playing individually. It's what we've been playing together separately.
Yeah, the separate collective of what we've been playing.
Right.
Because I have been playing Sekiro, and I have been doing the exact same thing as you in talking about reading the language. And I'm now going through Sekiro maybe properly, finally.
Right. Except you've seen all the bosses before.
Except now I've beaten Dark Souls 1, Bloodborne a few times, Demon Souls, done a ton of Elden Ring,
ton of Dark Souls 2.
Done a ton of Dark Souls 2, and previously have played a bunch of Dark Souls 3. And watched many, many videos on each of those games.
Yes.
And now I'm finally going back to the one that started it all for me, really, Sekiro, and having a very easy time.
Right.
But not a like, this is not challenging time, but a like, oh, I understand the way the progression works in these games. I understand to read item descriptions, but I'm also gaining things from it. I'm genuinely enjoying reading the item descriptions. I'm understanding the logic of the world. I'm understanding the way that the games tease puzzles and also tease item usage, especially in Sekiro, because it's really important in Sekiro at times. And tools that will then lead into working against bosses, all of that stuff, right? Elden Ring kind of functions differently in a way that, like, it's similar to what you were thinking between that. You can read the language of the old Zelda games, but Breath of the Wild is such a departure from them all that they don't always really work. And Elden Ring, in a way, functions like that with its world design and its progression and its level design. Yeah, it's just the idea of it being as open as it is. The language is different in that one. But playing through Sekiro, it's reading a book in a language I'm now fluent in.
Right. Interesting.
Similar to, have you played Majora's Mask?
I touched it once when I was very young, didn't vibe with it. I came back to it when I was a bit older, got halfway through it.
Right.
I've seen a couple of speedruns, but no, I've never played through properly Majora's Mask.
Right. Well, like, are there Zelda games that you would know the language to that you haven't played that you might really enjoy?
So that's part of what I was thinking as well later in the week. The more I played this was like, oh, I'd love to play another game from this era that I haven't. I haven't played Majora's Mask, and it's been a while since I've seen that much content from it. I remember a lot of the first zone where you have the Deku mask, the Deku scrub mask, and you're doing that area.
Sure.
But there's like a dungeon where you need all of the masks, and I never did the water dungeon in that zone. I never got to that. I saw so little of what that game had to offer, and so I am interested to go to it. It is, the time restriction and all of the different time of day stuff that it becomes this interesting, like, almost death loop, like Outer Wilds scenario in a way, but in that very obtuse, at that point, early 2000s, you have to have done this certain quest by talking to this person at this time.
Yes.
And then the next portion of that quest is talking to this person at this place at this time. And, like, maybe you don't know to do that for, like, days, and unless you've seen a guide or you've seen a playthrough before. Like, it's that kind of stuff. Yeah, Majora's Mask has always been off-putting to me, but I think I'm in a place where when I finish Ocarina of Time, I am excited to go straight onto Majora's Mask. Try to experience it a bit more organically. Like, I know there's a few sword upgrades, but I don't know how to do them the real way. I don't know what the thing is. And like the way something I've noticed in this one is I've got so much of the gear, right? Like I don't just have the master sword, I've got the big two-handed big Goron sword, which is basically double damage. Except you can't have your shield out at the same time. So, but I'm like 3-hitting stuff, and like I know to do the right attacks at certain times, and that like one hits the zombies, and it's just stuff. It's just stuff like that. What have you been experiencing along
The exact same thing, because I'm playing Sekiro organically. I've seen speedruns of Sekiro. I know a lot of the bosses. I know a lot of the moments. I've seen my old housemate play through a bunch of the game, if not all of it. But I cannot tell you how amazing it was 2 days ago to gain the ability which allows me to deflect lightning and be able to fucking nail it.
Right.
And then, like, I'm now past wherever I was when I got as far as I did the very
played in 2019.
Yeah. I'm now much further than that, and I've beaten bosses that I couldn't beat last time. This time with a lot more ease. But I am also going through. I understand a lot of the game. I know how to do certain things, but like, I don't know where the upgrades are. I don't know where to get all of the arm attachments are. I don't know where to get a lot of the upgrades for those arm attachments are. And I'm looking at them and going, well, maybe I should get this one, or maybe I shouldn't get this one. I'm doing a lot more of the actual special moves. I'm going through the upgrade tree better. I'm upgrading my weapon. I'm upgrading my health. I am going through, like, I've got the Mortal Blade. That's like a massive thing in that game, and I've finally got that. And it's all been. I used the guide once only because I didn't quite know where an NPC had moved to. But I'm not using a guide to get through this game. Even though I know a lot of it, but I'm still discovering it organically because I'm going through worlds and I have an idea that there's going to be, like, for example, I'm currently up to the Great Ape. And do you know?
Right, yes.
Do you know about this boss, Kerry?
I do know about the Great Ape.
You know the thing that happens?
I do.
Yeah, cool. So
unfortunately,
yes. Yeah, like I knew as well going into it because I'd seen speedruns. Spoilers for like middle of the game Sekiro. The Great Ape is a really cool boss where you fight a gigantic ape and then you chop his head off and it does the whole UI shinobi execution, all of that thing. And then the body of the Great Ape comes alive again and he...
But like 45 seconds later when you're like healing or like looking at the gear you got, or
well, like you don't get anything, which is the little tease. It's like, I've got the thing, but usually I get like a healing gourd or a one of the upgrade weapon pearl things. But you didn't get anything, and there's like a little moment where it's like, well, that was weird, and then where do I go? And the fog wall hasn't disappeared. And then the body comes back alive and it's got twice as much health as it used to, holding its head in its hand and holding the sword that you used to chop its head off as a weapon. It's fucking awesome. It's so cool. I knew that when I played that fight, but to still fairly organically be like, okay, now what the fuck do I do? Because I haven't beaten it. I don't know actually how to beat this boss yet because for the most part, Great Ape uses 7 out of my 8 healing gourds to kill him, and then I've got twice as much health on a much harder boss. Yep. So yeah, I know what you mean in terms of like if you went through Majora's, there's a like level of like, well, I understand what happens next, but I don't actually know how to get there.
Yeah. Which is exciting.
It's really fun. It's really fucking fun.
Yeah. And like it's strange because like I don't feel like I can get some of these moments with other modern games. You're equating this to Sekiro, which is one of the most unique FromSoft games ever.
Yeah.
Is interesting because, I'm thinking about it, and when you're looking at the Legend of Zelda franchise, it's a series of games that have become quite they've become much more easy to play, I guess. They're much easier to
formulaic, perhaps.
Yeah, a little formulaic. A formula that was kind of set in Link to the Past and really cemented in Ocarina of Time. And then they iterated and iterated and iterated, but they also made it more and more beginner friendly. And that's not a problem. That's not a bad thing. And it meant that I enjoyed and finished and played more of those later games first. In a way.
Yeah.
You know, like I could progress through those without too much difficulty and experience that as a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old.
Yeah, the pathway
and
from Phantom Hourglass. Yeah, the pathway from Phantom Hourglass to Link to the Past, I think was actually really quite strong.
Right. Yes.
Yes. They work well.
Sorry, I'm just gonna let my cat out. 1 sec.
Kerry's gotta let his cat out. Kerry's wearing pajama pants. Kerry's wearing stripy pajama pants.
Huh?
Nothing.
You talk about what are you talking about? You talking about my clothes? What are you talking about?
I was talking about your stripy pajama pants.
No, I realized when I sat back down that I was outing myself.
I don't know if it was on stream, but I could see it because you're cut in.
You ratted me out anyway.
Sure did, buddy.
Yes,
I sang about
stripy pajama pants. What was I saying? With the
they became a lot more
it's
beginner
formulaic,
friendly.
and I got to enjoy those newer games because of how more accessible they made them. But I could really see what people who could have appreciated that game more because they were older and more mature when Ocarina of Time came out, and they didn't see the solutions because their cousins had already figured it out. Like, I could see what that would have done, and I wish I could experience that again.
Yeah, it's hard to, especially, what we do and what we consume.
Sure.
It's very hard to find a classic and feel like you're experiencing it for the first time. Like, I could still, and I'm very happy about this, because it's been somewhat intentional. I still know very little about nearly every Metal Gear game.
Yep.
And I've kept it that way because I know one day I do want to sit down and just play through fucking all of them.
Honestly, you said that. You said, it's hard to play a classic game and feel like you're playing a classic. And my first thought immediately went to the first time I played Metal Gear Solid. Well, the only time I've played Metal Gear Solid.
And I felt the same way when I played Metal Gear 3 for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I was playing a nearly 20-year-old PS1 game on my PS3 in 2015 and legitimately going, like, thinking about it the next day and, like, when I went to bed and, like, wanting to play as much as I could the next day and the next day and the next day until I beat it. And, that's rare for me these days, and that was really special.
I have one for you, Kerry, if you feel like you haven't got one.
Sure.
Resident Evil 1 and 2 Remake.
1 and 2 Remake. Interesting. 1 Remake as well?
The 1 Remake is great. The 1 Remake is...
Okay.
It is just Resident Evil 1, but with much nicer graphics. It plays like RA1, but like it's Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 Remake. Those would be you experiencing those old classics, and I'm pretty sure you don't know a whole lot about them.
That's true. I mean, I know more and more than I did before. I've had to do a few, like, plot recap videos for work.
But it's not about the plot. It's about the puzzles, and it's about the intensity is what I mean.
What I know about Resident Evil is that ammo is scarce and that you have to find the diamond thing and put that in the diamond hole.
Yeah.
That's what I know. It's ammo and it's shapes.
It's play school.
Yeah. Plus zombies. So yeah, like that's an interesting idea. I've been leaning closer slowly to the Resident Evil series.
I think you would genuinely love them because they're not straight horror.
Yeah, they're quite campy, aren't they?
They are campy, but they're really fun. They're really, really fun.
Really, really. Yeah. It's just interesting, right? Because, like, Sam's down to play them in chat.
Yeah.
We can give that a go. When I think back to one of the franchises that are large, and storied and began when I was a bit more mature, I think of Assassin's Creed, right? That I really loved and enjoyed.
Yeah.
It doesn't do the same thing though. Like that was quite a linear, progressive. Gameplay was good enough; it got me through it, and 2 or 3 or 4 times I really enjoy it. But
Yeah.
like, it's not the same. It's not the same
No.
thing.
Yeah.
Why can't I just play these generation-defining games for the first time now that I'm old enough to appreciate them, Jeremy? Why is that so hard?
I mean, you still can. There are still plenty of them that you would still have a really good time in.
Yeah, it's just none of them are Ocarina of Time.
No. It's like looking for the Outer Wilds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I wish my brain would forget Outer Wilds less and more.
Yeah.
Like, in a way. Like, I discount it in my head a lot of the times when it comes to discussions like this. That was a really special experience to play through for the first time. But then I discount it. I'm like, it kind of just sits in a separate space in my brain.
New?
It's new, but it's also very different. It's a really different experience to any other game experience I've had. But then I really want to forget the parts that I remember so I can continue on with like having a fresh experience of it. That's one I really want to forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was fun, Jeremy. I didn't think we'd have a little synergy there.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun to discover.
That was unplanned, but pleasant. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to playing through Majora's Mask, having not previously finished the game or played it that much or watched that much of it. I have seen some of it. And the other thought it had me doing, I'll end on this. The other thought it had me thinking is I should play A Link Between Worlds on 3DS.
You should. That game is really,
because I haven't
really great.
played it. I haven't watched it. I know that it's a sequel-ish to Link to the Past, which I have played 5 years ago now. But that's it. And so I know it's really good. I know it shakes things up in terms of your item management and stuff like that. I know you go 2D on the wall and 3D when you pop off it. And like, that's it. And like, if I want a new Zelda game, I should go play that game, which is a sequel to the 2D game, which is sort of using that obtuse design work that informed Ocarina of Time, but made in 2013. I should play that game.
It's also like, it also just might be like the best game on the 3DS. Like,
whoa, wowza.
Like, I don't know a game that I think is better than it.
Interesting. What about Dragon Quest VIII, the PS2 port to 3DS?
Yeah.
Adds a bunch of new features, like animals, like monsters on the overworld.
I've never played a Dragon Quest. Played the Builders game once. That was good. Link Between Worlds is just phenomenal.
Have you got it?
No, I borrowed it.
Ah, damn. I'll have to see if I can source that somewhere. We are going to go on a break now, and once we come back, we're going to talk about what if Sega was still making consoles today. We're probably going to talk about it a little bit in the break. Stick with us, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the MiniMapCast. We've been discussing hair sacks, going to the gym. It's been a strange break time, but a fun one. We've also been discussing, Jeremy and I have rather been pontificating to ourselves, for ourselves, the answers to the upcoming hypothetical questions, which are all starting from the thesis of, what if Sega was still making consoles? That is our contention. Today, we shall find out. Oh, very good. Very good. Not from a McDonald's toy this time, just from your computer, but I don't care. It's always nice to hear that.
Did that come through well?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, good.
Jeremy, did you ever play any of the old Sega consoles?
Have
you ever touched one?
Yes. I don't know, actually. I don't know if I ever have played a Sega console now that I think about it.
I have very limited experience with Sega consoles.
I've played a Mega Drive. I've
Okay.
definitely, or a Gen. Maybe.
One of them was called the same thing in different
Okay.
states, apparently.
In that case, the Genesis Mega Drive, whatever one I've played one of those. Dude.
Okay. My only experience with the Sega console, I couldn't tell you which one it is, but I remember watching my cousins play Sonic.
Yeah.
And that was one of the main culprits of them handing me a controller that wasn't plugged in for me to have fun with, was their Sega console while they were playing Sonic.
It's probably a Dreamcast, right?
I couldn't tell you, man. I can't keep anything that Sega did straight in my head.
Right.
It's just, I don't even remember what most of the consoles look like. Only the ones that I've seen like classic releases for, that I've seen like modern advertising for, can I remember what it looks like. And even then I can't remember what it's called. Like they're so nebulous in my brain. Like by the time we were coming around, they were out. They had released their final console and it was dying on the vine. Like their final console sold less than the Wii U, didn't it?
What, the Dreamcast? I'm not sure.
Let's find out.
The Dreamcast, I think it was CD based, so I think it was at least there was something there. But I think the Wii U sold really poorly.
It was like 11 million units for the Wii U or something, wasn't it? Does that sound right?
Something small like that, yeah.
Units sold of the Dreamcast sitting at 9.13 million.
Yeah,
so
right.
I think that was less than the Wii U. Not by much, but...
Not by much, and I think you also got to factor in that the Dreamcast was, 20 years earlier, right? 15 years earlier. So, like...
True.
Like, I think the Wii U selling as worse as it did is across the scale of the two, I think that's a bigger loss.
Right.
But
they were coming off of such a victory with the Wii and DS generations.
Exactly, and I think that maybe makes it even worse.
Well, yeah, but they could weather the storm.
Oh, sure. I mean, as in, like, obviously Nintendo were fine, but what I mean is in, like, the fact that they came out of the DS and the Wii to release the Wii U as poorly as it did, I think that's a bigger L overall.
Yes, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
The Wikipedia page here says it was in development. Like the lifespan was 1998 to 2001. So I think it's safe to say from that definition that Sega has been out of the console game for 21 years now.
Oh yeah.
Sega games that I've played, few Sonic games that were on other consoles, like Sonic Adventure Battle 2 or Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, whatever it was called. A Dreamcast game ported to GameCube. I really like playing that game. Chow Garden, great time. Also Sonic and the Legend of the Ten Rings or whatever it was called. That one was that was a really weird Wii motion game that was not that good.
Yeah, right.
I liked the idea of Sonic Heroes, but never played it. And then I haven't really played that much. And I also don't like Sonic 2D games that much. I think they're confusing and a problem. Like, what are you looking at something there? What's
I feel like the Wikipedia page for Sega is really small, or I'm on the wrong one.
Oh,
no, I was on a simple version of the Wikipedia page, which apparently exists.
that's
sorry, yeah. Sorry, continue.
So, Jeremy, there's been a re-release of classic Sonic games that came out recently.
Yes.
And it's had a mixed reception. There's been some very strange porting bugs that have been introduced with this version.
Yeah.
It's an incomplete edition.
Yeah, the music is all different and worse for one of them.
Yeah, but also like there are bugs that have been introduced that were never in any of the old games.
Well, so do you remember the story about how it's running on the new Sonic games? The menu is running in the new Sonic games engine.
Like the Mania engine.
No, the new game that's coming out.
Oh, that's right, in Frontiers' engine. That's right, I forgot that.
Which has led to a bunch of Frontiers files being accidentally included in the new Sonic collection, and a bunch of information about the game got leaked because of it. Why the hell they would put a menu
So-
in a 3D engine like that is beyond me. But
So
yeah.
messy.
Yeah.
And like you see that all the time. Like Spider-Man coming to PC a week or two ago, there was people data mined that there was once they found some files that referenced a potential multiplayer mode for the game. You know, like
Yeah.
and who knows if that was prior testing or like testing for the game that they're currently developing, because that's the one that's got Miles and Spider-Man at the same time. Like maybe that's something we can look forward to. And you just
Miles
couldn't
and
take
Spider-Man.
Miles and Peter Parker. Yeah, good point.
Oh, sorry. I think I zoned out for a second. I thought you were talking about Miles Prowler and Spider-Man in the Sonic
Miles
game.
Morales. Miles Morales.
I thought you were talking about multiplayer and Sonic game and Spider-Man's in it. And you play with Tails.
Tails versus Spider-Man.
And I was like, why are you calling Tails by his first name?
His first name? Yeah.
Miles
No.
Tails Prowler.
Versus Miles Morales. But yeah, something that happened when that collection came out is it came with a PC version, and people could play these old Sonic games with an ultra-wide screen.
Yeah.
And so they could see much more of a stage at once than you've ever really been able to see in a Sonic game before.
Mm-hmm.
And that, if I could play a Sonic game like that, I think I would really enjoy it. My biggest problem with Sonic is that you can't ever see what the fuck you're doing. You can't ever see where you're going. You never know where the track's going to go. You're just running as fast as you can. And then half the time they just throw a brick wall at you. And you're like, oh, look, I guess I went the wrong way. I'm bad at this, I guess.
Well, see, I thought that, but did you play Mania?
I did not.
You should play Mania. It's a really, really good game. And I'm also not a big old school Sonic fan, but it brought me all the way over.
Okay.
It-
All right.
there's-
I've probably got it for free from Humble at some point.
You've
or
definitely
something
got
like
it for free for Humble.
All right.
It's
All right.
It's a genuinely really excellent game.
See, when you say that, because Ollie has said that, and you and Ollie have said that to each other. Ollie's got a history with the Sonic games, with the originals, and I assumed you did too, but okay.
No, I've barely played a Sonic game, really. I've played more than any old school Sonic. I have at least played Sonic Unleashed. That game wasn't very good.
No. By all accounts.
No, yeah.
So Jeremy, if Sega was still making consoles today, what does the company's image look like? When you pitch this to me, you're saying this, you're comparing it to the other major console platforms by saying that. What were your likenesses for each of them?
So I broke them all down into an easy sentence for each.
One sentence each.
One sentence for each. So
It's like an elevator pitch.
Sony, we are prestige. They really like their games being high art. They really like their games, with the simple UI, and they've got the Sony
accolades.
Yeah, like a Sony first-party game almost means something until they started to release games like Days Gone, where it was like, you knew you were getting quality, right?
Yep.
Xbox, I wrote, we are platform, which is funny. But what I mean by that is that they've got the Xbox consoles, obviously, but they've got the Xbox app on the PC. They got Game Pass. They got Game Pass Ultimate. They got xCloud streaming or Xbox Cloud, whatever it's called. They're bringing Xbox to the TVs, right? It's all you can play it anywhere. We don't care what you buy, but get in the ecosystem, basically.
Yeah. Get in, loser.
Yeah.
We're going shopping.
Yeah. Nintendo, we are Disney, is what I wrote here. Which is that they you know what I mean by that, right? Like
No, I don't actually. I need this one to be massaged a little bit.
So they treat their IP with a very high level of care, but also with great like too much care, right? Like no fan games. We will sue you to death if you mention our name, right?
Yeah.
Cease and desist is their second favorite property behind Mario. But they also, it's the everyone can enjoy a Nintendo game. Anybody of all ages will enjoy the new Mario game. You will buy the new Mario game And also, they are more than happy to con you out of as much money as they possibly can based on nostalgia. What Disney do? It's what Disney do all the time.
Pokemon games, case in point.
Yeah, right. It's
okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, the media conglomerate, the happy conglomerate, right? Theme parks as well. So where does Sega fit in that? My immediate answer, and I think I want to leave it at this. I didn't write any other answers for this one, but it's something that gaming's been missing for about 15 years now, 10 to 15 years. I've missed Chewed. Sega is the attitude company.
Okay.
You know, they always were. Sonic was always an edgier, attitude-based version of Mario. Uh-huh. You know, he was cool. He liked chili dogs and running fast and wearing sneakers, right? And then Sony came along and they became the Chewed company, right? With Crash Bandicoot, right? He was big and loud and obnoxious. And then Xbox became the Chewed company. They were all about, you know, it was all.
I don't think that was Chewed. That was like mature. That was like adult games. That was like blood and guts. It wasn't about,
well, like Chewed had kind of disappeared a little bit by then, but they were like more into like.
Yeah, it wasn't the 90s anymore.
Yeah, exactly, but yeah, like Sonic would listen to ska, right? You know, like. Sega, bring back the Chewed in games. Buddy in chat is talking about wrestling, and I don't know anything about wrestling, man.
Yeah.
WCW,
I saw,
WWE,
I saw
AEW.
that, and I was like, what is that again? Wrestling something. Wrestling.
I know a little bit enough that I think WCW was the Chewed wrestling company in the 80s and 90s, but I don't know anything.
People talk about the Attitude Era in wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Attitude Era of gaming was defined by one Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, speaking of Sonic and how I was introduced to Sonic through my cousins, and they were the only people I know who had a Sega console, they were also very into wrestling.
Right.
You know, teenagers actually living in the 90s.
Yeah.
Perfect audience for Attitude. So maybe that's why they were all in on... Well, they weren't all in. They stopped playing Sega consoles and the company went under. They couldn't keep it afloat. But
how do you see the modern Sega console image, Kerry?
It's tricky because I can't help but look at what Sega is today, and obviously the
rights holders to the Sonic movie franchise.
Well, yeah, that and like the Yakuza and Atlas holders.
Yeah.
But something that I've noticed when playing Judgment these last couple of years is they're very big on still showing everyone how much of a presence they have in the arcade space.
Yeah, they do. They do love the arcades, yeah.
Like, they can't help but remind you that arcades still exist and they're the ones putting machines in them.
It's them and it's Konami.
Yeah, with
Capcom a little bit.
Yeah, with a couple of fighting games.
Yeah.
So part of me is like they're the arcade system, you know, like what you can get on a Sega console is like true to form, like latency-less gamepads and like one-to-one arcade to console experience for professional fighting, things like that. The problem with that is arcades are dying. And if Sega was focusing on arcades in 2022,
I think they're doing fine in Japan.
They'd still be making consoles.
I think they're doing fine in Japan.
Sure,
but you're right. You're right.
Yeah, that isn't enough to keep a console going. So like that's my initial thought. It's hard for me to look past. But if they had consoles out in the system, I think they would be courting all of the third-party fighting games. You know, they would try to capture Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and have those be console exclusive and have their Sega system be the place to play fighting games.
Right.
And I guess Virtua Fighter could be there too. But in terms of their console experience, their game experience, they've either got to go all in on Sonic and somehow make him good again, or never have been bad.
Right. So you want him to be like, do you want him to be friendly, or do you define good or bad?
I mean, I want them to have not made bad Sonic games. I want them to have figured out how to make a good 3D Sonic game, which apparently is impossible.
Yeah, it's in his blood. You can't do that.
Right. But also in Sega's blood is canceling their consoles. So like we gotta rewrite the DNA a little bit here. I think I want good Sonic games on a platform that is serious about competitive fighting opportunities and whatever ancillary things go alongside that.
Right.
While also offering, I think, a competition to Nintendo's slice of the pie. PlayStation and Xbox go head to head well enough, or like frequently enough, and they've at this point Nintendo's kind of said, all right, we're going to let you do that over there, and we'll play in when we can or if we want to, but we don't have to.
Yeah, it's
and
a
we're
different,
play by
different
our
thing
own
altogether.
rules.
Yeah, yep.
And I think Sega's place is trying to eat into that market.
Right.
With some exciting, different consoles along the way, with more easily accessible, family-friendly games. But then they can also offer their more mature franchises, their Yakuzas, the Judgment, their Personas, and stuff like that. You know, they've got the... Unlike... I don't really think Nintendo has property that would rate anything above an M, but Sega does.
Yeah. Yeah, the closest
Sega has
thing...
a bit more of that breadth.
The most mature thing that Nintendo do is like Metroid.
Yeah.
And...
Zelda to an extent.
Yeah, but not even, right? Like Zelda, I wouldn't even rate as M. It's more PG.
Well, Breath of the Wild is M. But yes, you're right.
Yeah. I think they own that Day of Crisis game. I think that's owned by Nintendo, and that was MA.
The hell is Day of Crisis?
Oh, it's a... Well, I'll show you after. I'll show you after the show.
Is it in the same vein as like Mag, or...
It's more in the same vein as like imagine like a really fucking weird... It's almost actually closer to the fucking sweary games.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sort of like Mad World?
Sort of like Deadly Premonition.
Right. Okay.
I'll show you.
So yeah, their image, I think, is a Nintendo competitor, a family-friendly yet mature options brand.
Yeah, like
it's not a particularly pithy title, but
for me, it's that they need to hit that ever so interesting 12 to 16-year-old market.
Yeah.
Nothing in between. You want to grow up to become a Sega kid, but then you're probably going to grow out of it.
That means they need Call of Duty, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess.
I would like it if the kid-friendly console was up to snuff and did have the specs that could back it up and were more on par with PlayStation and Sony. Maybe that would be a way that they could differentiate themselves.
Right, okay.
And that way they could have more of that third-party stuff. They could say, hey, this is great for kids and great for the other stuff. They could say, this is literally for everyone. Not just for, an adult could enjoy this Pixar movie kind of gameplay experience. But hey, you could play Yakuza Like a Dragon here. Or, you weebs, you could play Persona 6. But also, here's Sonic, but he's good. But the games are fun.
What a salesman you are.
I don't understand how Sega could have made their most enjoyable 3D Sonic game was like the first one or two they made in Sonic Adventure 2. And like, it's just been iterating, but not even iterating on that. Like they've sort of been just riffing on the same ideas since then. And then when they can't figure out how to make it any different or better, they're like, he's a werewolf now. Or like, he's
got a sword.
Wii motion controls.
Yeah.
Or Olympics. Like, you guys have no fucking clue what to do with him. Oh, God. I had a great time with Sonic Adventure 2 20 years ago on the GameCube when they'd already given up on the Dreamcast.
Blaspheme.
Who am I blaspheming against?
I don't know.
Console.
I don't know.
Let's move on. I'm getting angry about present Sony. Let's go back to future Sony.
Sega.
Yeah, Sega. What does the Sega console look like, Jeremy?
So I'm gonna run through some of these all at once. I'm gonna do my joke one first, and then I'll throw it to you, and then I'll do my real one. I think.
Oh, so you've got different names that look like different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, what does it look like? You know, in a Sonic game, when you run really fast and he turns into a little blue ball?
Yeah.
Looks like that.
It looks like a blue ball with speed lines.
Yes, yeah, but it's got a HDMI port out the back.
Out the back. That's where all the needles are. The needles are out the back, and it covers up the
No,
ports
but there's no
and the
needles.
cables.
When he runs really fast, he's a ball. There's no needles. It's just the ball.
Yeah, but what if
you turn it on and there's
time?
You turn it on and there's lights inside that make it look like it's spinning. It's got the translucent crystal plastic. What's the gimmick,
Modern.
Kerry?
Nice.
What's the gimmick, I hear you ask?
Is it a pull tag on the back that makes it go?
No. PlayStation out here talking about they got the best PlayStation ever. Xbox talking about they got the most powerful console ever with the Xbox
Again.
One X, and then they did it again with the Series X. Nintendo out here with motion controls. The competitor to the most powerful console ever is Sega's new console, the fastest console ever. It's not as strong, but it's faster.
Boy, is it fast.
Boy, is this console fast.
We're talking storage. We talking
No. We're talking the Blu-ray
games.
We're talking the Blu-ray player's got a if you want to watch it ×2 speed, you can. No hitching. The things will load faster.
Yeah.
But a worse version of them will load faster because it can't be the most powerful. It's just got to load faster. You get into matches faster.
Okay.
Games release.
How's their online infrastructure?
Faster. Oh, so fast.
Fast.
So fast. The Sonic State Drive. That's really good, buddy. That's really good.
The SSD.
The Sonic State Drive. That's a really good name. I don't know if it's... you might have made my name sound worse. My name's funnier. That's really good. That's smarter. That's a much better name. The SSD. What I've decided to call this game is What I've decided to call this console is the Hog.
The Hog! The Sega Hog!
The Sega Hog.
Oh my god. So this is a modern console. This is competing with the Switch, and this console is parallel to the Switch.
You can buy this console. You will buy this console.
This is the 2022 Sega console, the Hog.
Yes.
It's got see-through blue plastic and a blue LED ring that goes around. And it's a ball because it looks like Sonic.
And because it's 2022, every console that comes out nowadays has got some really annoying design flaw, right?
Okay.
For the Switch, it's the Joy-Cons fucking suck. For the PlayStation 5, it's got these ugly as sin fins pointing at the top, which makes it not fit in a Kallax bookshelf. For the Xbox, it looks like a bin. What's the annoying thing about the Hog, I hear you ask?
I think I figured it out. Can I guess?
Yeah.
It's literally a ball, so it rolls around.
Yeah, it doesn't have feet.
Yeah.
you gotta get 2 books and put it.
They sell a rubber ring for like $30 separately. That you put the ball on top of.
It's a Sonic ring though. Like it looks like the metal.
It's gold.
Yeah, it's gold.
Was that what it was? Did I guess correctly?
Yeah, it's got no feet.
Yes. I thought so. They want it to be authentic. How can the console be fast if it won't roll away fast?
It's so true. It's so true.
True words never been said.
It's my joke answer.
That's good. I'm just gonna come in with what it looks like. I haven't thought too much about what the console looks like in relation to the names. I just tried to come up with names and then what I think a Sega console would look like.
Sure.
I feel like my first thought is what the next Sega console would have looked like a Dreamcast 2.
Yeah.
Is what my first thought is. It's like, oh, Sega's old, so what it looks like is old. And I think like white or grey plastic with like it's kind of square rounded edges, but then it like bevels in a little bit on the sort of like kind of PS1 style, you know?
Yeah.
That's my first thought, but I don't think that's accurate to what it would look like today. You know, we have to leapfrog across the 4 generations that we're skipping to the 2022 Sega console today. What does that look like?
Yes.
And I think you're right. We're in an era where we've moved past the black box.
Yes.
Like we had the cream plastics, we had the cream and off-white beige plastics, and we went to black box, and now we're past the black box. So the Sega console, it's got to be modern in a way, but different to the others.
It tries to have to make a statement, which I don't like.
Yeah. I think this console has wheels. Wheels. But like it's a borderline transformer. And so like it's trying to hook this is all off the top of my head.
Yeah,
it's trying to hook like like teenagers who like Gundams and Transformers.
Yeah.
And kids who like things that move around.
Yeah.
But like that's all it appeals to. Like it doesn't actually appeal to that more mature market that it wants to very well because they made the thing look like a tank.
Can I just really quick, I just want to add something to mine, and I want to ask you a question based off what I'm adding to mine, which is that the disk drive, the disk faces you, so you can see the imprint of the disk inside of
is it like the flat of the disc?
Yeah, the flat of the disc you can see through the translucent plastic, and so you can see it spin. And so when it spins really fast, I want it to make like a little animation of like someone running. I think that would be sick. Now I'm going to ask you, Kerry, a similar related question: is this console using cartridges or is it using discs?
This modern day console is using
USBs,
Blu-ray.
Okay.
USBs. It's using Blu-ray. It's not using 4K Blu-ray.
Oh, what? They didn't want to cough up the $10 every.
They're doing more than Nintendo and their crappy cartridges and like 1080p, but nothing actually runs at 1080p.
Yeah,
I guess they could run like 4K. Oh no, that's the only way they're getting like more data onto the discs at the moment, isn't it? With 4K Blu-ray. Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
UMD says, buddy. There's a reason only one console used that format.
Yeah.
I think it uses Blu-ray. I think it's trying to keep up, but it's really challenged. It's really struggling. This Transformers idea is a bad one, but it's so hard to think. Like, I couldn't have thought of what the PlayStation 5 was going to look like before I saw it, you know, or the Xbox Series.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm when I'm trying to think of something that competes in that area, I'm like, what's something I wouldn't think of? And I'm like, oh shit. So I'm not sure. You know, maybe it's trapezoidal. You know, maybe it goes narrow at the top. Maybe it's a pyramid shape.
That'd be cool.
I don't know.
Pyramids are cool.
I can't crack this nut. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, right. You got a name? Got some names?
I've got a couple of names, Jeremy. I've got a few names. One of them that came off the top of my head was Sega Olympus. I'm like, oh, it's kind of Dreamcast, Genesis, Mega Drive, Olympus.
Olympus is cool.
You know?
It fit in
like
well.
that,
if it was like again a triangle, that would be cool. Like the mountain.
Yeah, like a mountain. Yeah, like a
mountain.
Yeah, like Mount Olympus.
Yeah. Sonic and Mario and Sonic at the Mount Olympus games.
Yeah, God of War cross with Sonic when.
Yeah.
He can help take down Zeus.
Mm.
I had another one which was and coming from Japan, it would be said like this: the Sega machination.
Machination.
So it's sort of like machine. It's sort of like, it's a piece of hardware. It'll get the job done. It's not.
Okay.
It's not a machine. It's a. I think in English you'd say machination, but I don't think that's that common of a sound coming from the Japanese dialect. I think they would say machination.
Okay, all right, that's cool. I like that.
It's strange. It's weird. I've got a couple of other ones that I like more, but what are you thinking of?
So my other idea for the Sega console.
Yes.
The gimmick. I'm going to start there.
Yes.
The Dreamcast console having the little thing you can put the little screens in for the Chow Gardens for the most part.
Yeah, it's like a memory card cross, like handheld.
It has a name. I don't remember the name of it. I saw that idea, and the very first time I saw it, I'm like, that is so cool. I love that idea so much. But what if it was inbuilt into the controller? What if every controller
had like the Dreamcast?
Yeah, but like, what if like it was like a high definition screen? It was maybe, let's say, as big as the PS5 touch bar. Imagine the Wii U gamepad, but it was little and not necessary to the game, but it was useful to see things, right? It was like a contextual thing that...
So we're thinking, we're going like mini Wii U gamepad. We're talking traditional gamepad format, but like second screen Wii U design.
Touch screen, but like, like handy for the thumbs, but isn't like you need a stylus for, right? You're not...
Yeah.
We're not out here drawing like fools. where it's like a phone touchscreen in the middle, right? You see those like every 4 years. There's like what the new PlayStation 6 controller is going to look like, and it's two pieces of hard plastic with like just a display in the center of it, right? And it's like
it's got like 6 buttons under one thumb, and you can like turn it this way and that, and
it's kind of like that, right? Like I want a display to bridge the two sides of the controller, and you can have like your own Chow Garden stuff inside of that, right? I love that idea, and I wish that something more could be done with that idea. I think if we're not going the chewed era of Sega,
okay,
I don't 100% know what the console looked like, because I think the console itself, I think in this context doesn't matter, because it's all about the controller, right? What you're buying is the controller, and there's the console over there that runs the machine, but it looks like a fucking Wii U. I don't care. If we're not going the chewed era and they're going the family friendly thing, I think you call it the Sega Flow. I think that's a cool
Sega
name.
Flow.
Sega Flow.
It flows nicely with the words together. Like you can make it a one-word thing. The Sega Flow. Because
I was thinking about the word cast in Dreamcast. I was thinking about what's casting. Casting is streaming sometimes. What's another word for stream? What's a stream do? Water. Water streams, water flows.
Yeah, water does flow. You're right. Yeah, so does air.
Sega Air. The other thing I was thinking, if you are going to chewed era of Sega, this is called the Sega Surge.
Oh yeah,
I think that's a cool name.
Keeping that in mind, does it have streaming capabilities, Xbox style?
You tell me. I don't know.
Question mark?
Maybe.
Does it have Xbox Game Pass on the console?
I think the Sega Surge is the most closed off Sega console that they've ever made. Beyond Sega games not being put on other consoles, they don't allow anything, any Xbox games, no PlayStation games, no Nintendo games.
No third-party games?
No third-party games.
Oh my fucking god. Sega's dying after the Surge comes out. This is the re-death of Sega.
Only first party. the Sega
Only-
Surge, but
You're going to play our games and you're going to like them.
and this is the final question in this thing, which I'm looping in here. The final question we got for what if Sega was still making consoles. The question that we wrote down is Sonic.
Say it properly. Yeah.
Sonic, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What's Sonic doing? I tell you.
Is he entertaining people? Has he figured it out?
One of the launch games for the Sega Surge is a Sonic.
It is good.
One of the launch games for the Sega Surge is a Sonic Battle Royale to compete with Fortnite.
Jeremy, I have to ask, how fast is this game?
Oh, this
Battle
game,
Royale?
this game is so fast.
It's so fast.
Except this game is a competitor, a legitimate competitor to Fortnite. And it becomes the leading game on the planet, toppling Fortnite. I also wrote here, Sega don't quite know how this happened, but it does.
So on their entirely closed off ecosystem, the Sonic Battle Royale beats Fortnite. The most popular
maybe
Battle
there's-
Royale. Maybe the most popular game there has ever been. A game that not only was on PC, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, but also iOS, Android, and Sonic beats it all on one platform.
Let me add an additional thing that I just thought of.
It does it quickly.
Kerry, they allow third-party games onto the platform,
Yeah.
but only through this Sonic Battle Royale.
You have to land in third party.
It's the
The
first
location on the map.
It's the first true metaverse. Third-party games are only available as limited time events that you have to land in.
You have to stream it.
Companies
You have to surge it.
Companies are booking in limited time events months ahead. They're planning film releases around it. They're planning game launches around it. They're planning cross-media campaigns around the ability to appear in Sonic Night.
Sonic KN or N?
No, not KN. No, Sonic NITE. Or it's called Sonic Save the World.
So no one knows how it happens, but it does.
Sonic World
And
is what
then-
it's called. It's called Sonic World.
Sonic World. Okay, that's all right. And so everyone's trying to book in, and then you're every week you're buying Iron Man, but he's like a chupacabra, and you're buying like Goku, but he's a hedgehog because of his hair, and you're buying. There's a concert from Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
because she's got her fingers in every metaverse.
Yes.
Okay.
But all of the crossover events have to look like Sonic characters.
And she like high fives Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's more of a Rouge fan.
She's Rouge. Okay. Maybe Amy and Rouge. They're like the group. Amy,
Yeah.
Rouge, and Paris Hilton.
Yes. The Sega Surge, Kerry. Can you feel the Sega Surge?
Oh my god. It doesn't make any sense. This is I love that you had to say no one knows how it happens, but it does.
Yeah, no one knows.
Okay. I've got two more names, Jeremy.
I'd love to hear 'em.
One of my names that I like the most, and I don't know what this means for the actual console, what it looks like, what it is doing. But and this is definitely infringement for like the Coca-Cola company. But I really enjoy
Coca-Sonic.
Sega Cola. No, I like the name Sega Sprite. Like a sprite in the woods, like a like a spirit, like a Sega Sprite.
Yeah, right.
I think that one I find is evocative and I think is playful and quick and you know what it is when you hear it.
It's a 2D
but kind of
image
in
that
like a
always
Nintendo
faces the
Switch
camera.
way. Pardon?
It's a 2D
It's
image.
always 2D.
It always faces the camera.
I don't know what that is. I just really like that name. One that I do know what it is the Sega Playpad.
Okay.
And this is the way this console behaves is very similarly. It's along that same line of thought of like
The Wii U
playing
balance
into
board.
the arcade. No, not quite. No, it's more. Think of it like a fight pad. Playpad kind of
okay.
thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is
yeah.
going back to that their arcade roots again. It's staying in that place.
I'm here for it.
This is not only is the Sega Playpad the best way to have the best arcade experience at home in terms of racing games, let's say, and all the fighting games. You know, you've got the best gamepad controllers for the Playpad, or it launches with one and you can get like add-ons or like other ones are officially supported and really low latency and high quality and all that stuff. And you could spend $600 on it if you want, and people do because it's great.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you can take the Playpad to the arcade where they have Sega machines, and it has a spot for your Sega Playpad, and you put your Playpad in the Sega arcade machine, and you can load your fighters and your progress, and maybe it's a controller, maybe the console is the controller, maybe you take your Playpad controller, maybe that's it. With the Playpad, you take your controller to the arcade, and then you can use that, and it's as good as any other arcade fight stick, maybe even better.
I like this. Oh, that's cool.
It's interesting. It's sort of like peripheral territory. Like it's kind of borderline one way, borderline the other. But
yeah, it reminds me of what we were talking about when we tried to fix the Wii U.
Okay.
We had a similar thing where it was like being able to take your Wii U gamepad to other people's houses, and it was like your everything device.
Yeah, it had all the save data. It had your characters.
Yeah.
Remembered if you changed button layouts. Yeah, definitely. So that's my answer for what the gimmick for the console would be for the Playpad, the Sega Playpad. In terms of Sonic,
what are you doing, Kerry?
What are you doing? I'm just sitting here trying to think what part of Sonic made him good. And one thought I had was, let's say Sonic is good and people like it more than they do now because for somehow they've made it good.
Yeah.
And I can't figure out what that is because no one can because it's not good. At the very least, 3D Sonic.
Yeah.
Let's say they've made good 3D Sonic. They've got fun 2D Sonic. I reckon they do more Olympics games, maybe without Mario.
Right, okay.
And so, you know how the Olympics trades, you do the Olympics every 4 years, you do the Winter Olympics every 4 years, but, sort of offset. So you've got the Olympics, and you've got the Winter Olympics, that's 2 years apart. They release a Sonic Olympics game every year. But we go from like London 2012 to Green Hill Zone 2013 to bloody Sochi 2014 Winter Olympics to like Arctic Zone Olympics 2015.
Right, okay. All Sonic themed. Right. So we're not going
No. So we're going real world, Sonic World.
Yeah.
Real world, Sonic World.
Can I suggest an additional to that?
Sure.
Real world, Sonic World, real world,
Winter.
So real world summer, then a Sonic World, then a real world winter, and then in between that is another real world. Another Sega World.
Like, oh,
1980s Japan, 2000s Japan.
We got Kamurocho.
Yeah.
You can hang out with Kazuma Kiryu and compete in the Olympics.
Yeah, or like the fucked up worlds in Persona.
Yeah, Persona Olympics, interesting. That actually would be really fun to see how each of those worlds, like how each like a Yakuza Olympics would be more. There'd be more focus on like archery and like what is it when you do clay pigeon shooting, whatever that's called, and
Yeah.
But like boxing and all of the martial arts, all the martial fights, and they'd be super over the top. but
Yeah.
also just the Olympics.
Yep.
A Persona take of the Olympics plus Sonic is there, which it means you also get a Persona take of Sonic.
Yes. Which is just Shadow.
That is no. Persona doesn't mean like edgy.
No, I know.
Speaking of Shadow, I have another answer for what Sonic be doing and how he's still relevant in 2022.
Mm.
Sonic the Hedgehog, the game that came out on PS2 in like 2005, the one where he like wields rifles like AR-15s and blows up cars.
The Shadow game, yeah.
Somehow they made that one good,
Okay.
right? Again, in a way that like no one can figure out because it's actually a bad premise and no one can make that game good.
Yeah.
But they made a good one, right? And people like maybe 3D Sonic was a bit middling or like a bit one note, and they kept coming out with Sonic games, and it was like, oh, we want something different. And they came out with Shadow, and it was also somehow good. And people were like, oh yeah, this is new and different. And somehow Sonic and the Shadow games, they elevate each other. And similar to the alternating Olympics locations, now we have alternating Sonic Shadow games, and then you maybe you get alternating storylines that tell different sides of the story, and you get different types of gameplay that like one elevates the other. You're like, oh man, I just finished this Shadow mission and I just like bust out of a prison.
Shadow
and, like,
mission is such a cool name.
and he like got an RPG and he blew up a helicopter, and for some reason that now means I'm so excited to play the next 3D Sonic game where I'm running through greener
Helia
mountain
zones.
zone.
Right.
Like, that's my only thing I could think of is like somehow the 3D games had to be good. They had to make good 3D Sonic games. That's the key here.
Right.
No one knows what that looks like because we haven't seen one. So it's very hard for me to say, oh yeah, they just make this. No one knows what a good 3D Sonic game looks like, but
Yeah,
they made that.
Gotcha. That's funny.
Why has there never been a proper good 3D Sonic game, Jeremy?
You're asking the wrong person.
Why have they all been since 1999, since Sonic Battle Adventure 2? Why have they all been the exact same thing but worse than that game, which was the first one that did it properly?
I don't know. I truly do not know.
Sonic is a baffling franchise, and it's no wonder. It is a wonder that it's still around, honestly. It's befuddling that Sonic is still here today.
The movies are
pissing
really
us
helping
off.
it, but the movies almost also shut the bed before it even came out, remember?
Well, yeah. Let's bring up the fact that the Sonic animation was horrifying, and if you want to hear more about it, you can go to minimap.com.au and listen to our episode of The Pecking Order, where we try and figure out how much we want to kiss this monstrosity. The answer is not very much.
Not much at all.
The answer is just abject horror with this Cthulhian creature. But, like, that was only from 2019 onwards. And that was just when the trailer came out. The movies have only been around for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I just wish they'd made better 3D Sonic games. Why could they not do that?
Because they always control terribly and are fucking awful.
Yeah. Why couldn't they figure that out? Oh, man. Sonic makes me upset. I think because I genuinely liked Adventure 2 so much when I played it when I was younger.
Yeah, right.
Rented it from a Blockbuster. I think I rented it twice, is how much I liked it.
Wow.
Yeah.
End the podcast.
Yeah. Sega, you're fine where you are. You are in your best timeline right now, Sega. And honestly, Sega's had a great 5 years.
I think they're doing NFTs now.
Yeah, okay.
I think.
Definitely done with the podcast. We can let's save all of the meta and Web3 talk for next week's episode of the MiniMapCast when Jeremy discusses the metaverse.
Oh god.
His deep dive. We may be coming to you from a special recording location.
It's a
Everyone,
big maybe.
big maybe. We might not be able to work it out, and if we don't work it out, then we'll tell you what it is. It'll be a bit of a visual thing. We'll post it on Twitter so podcast listeners can at least see what we did, if it happens. But stay tuned, everyone. We might have something cooking for that.
Do the outro while I go to the bathroom.
Oh, Jeremy's got to go to the bathroom, everybody. I'm going to intro us, hopefully not too fast, because if I did it too fast, then I wouldn't be able to press the outro button. So hopefully he's quick. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the MiniMapCast. We're looking forward to next week. We're looking forward to the metaverse. I can't believe how upset, I can't believe how upset I am about Sonic and Sega. Just trying to think about, there's no way to make it good. You can follow us. You can follow the Minimap accounts everywhere online that we have accounts. That's Twitch, that's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's TikTok, all under Minimap AU. Of course, you can also go to minimap.com.au. You can follow us individually on Twitter as well. Jeremy is there at Obi1Jez, that's with 2 Zs. I'm there at KJPalmer_24. Like I said before, head to minimap.com.au for everything else Minimap related, everything else MiniMapCast related. The Pecking Order, that our other Kissability Pop Culture Ranking podcast, I highly recommend it. Even that Sonic episode, it's quite fun to listen to us freak out about this thing we don't want to kiss. For those of you that are live with us on Twitch, stick around. We're going to do a post show. For those of you listening later on a podcast service, please make sure to give us those awesome ratings, those 5-star ratings, those pluses, those ticks, those hearts, those thumb ups. It means a lot to us. It helps us out a lot. And if you want to consider joining us for the live show as well, we'll be here for you and we'll be having a good time in the chat. Lastly, you can also support us. You can also support us on Patreon. If you want to help keep the lights on, you can do that by heading to patreon.com/minimapau. And for $5 Australian, that is, you can ask us questions to answer on the podcast, all while helping us out greatly. That's it for this week. And Jeremy is also letting us... Yeah, we'll talk about that in the post show of what we're doing next week. And you made it back in time, Jeremy?
I sure did. I love the long outro that I wrote.
Well, as you were leaving, I was saying... I got to be careful because if I finish too quickly, then I won't have anyone to press the music buttons. But you're here. We're ready.
Here.
So when I say thank you so much for listening, we'll see you next time. The music's going to play, and then we'll see you next time.